Hello, Motorada World fans, and what has two thumbs is exhausted from waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning to watch MotoGP qualifying, and then again at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch the main race. Get the kids up, get baby girl ready for ballet, get them back, got to shoot to a kids' party 2 hours away. Yay, play, be all happy for the kids' party. 2 hours back home, and do it all again tomorrow morning for the sprint race. This guy. But would I do it again? Absolutely, because MotoGP is just the greatest sport on this planet, and it did not disappoint. I don't mind staying up for weeks and months if I have to, if that is the kind of racing that we are going to get. Phillip Island just never fails to entertain. And let me tell you why. One of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons why Phillip Island is the greatest place to watch motorcycle racing and probably go race a motorcycle. This race was fantastic because of so many reasons, but race stewards didn't really have to get involved. There was the one Marini versus Mir incident which got kind of sorted, but that was it. We got to enjoy good motorcycle racing. And how is this possible at Phillip Island compared to everywhere else? Well, because there's no runoff. There's curb and there's grass. There's no runoff for the stewards to go on and count how many guys are exceeding track limits, and the riders respect the track because it's an old school track, and that's what makes it so exciting. It was so awesome not seeing this race direction being analyzed, this popping up and long lap penalty, this and this. None of that. There was none of that. There's runoff in one or two areas, yes, but not in areas that riders can take full advantage of. And that's what makes Phillip Island so special. So, Dorna, MotoGP, racetracks, it's very simple. Get rid of the extra little bit of tar that you've added for the riders for safety. Phillip Island has proved that, the riders work with what they have. And if you give them more track to take advantage of, they're going to try and take advantage of it. If they don't have that, they're going to respect it and produce this kind of racing. We won't have these silly, stupid decisions being made by race direction that ruin races. It was spectacular to watch. And yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that. I'm going to go through the race results as they happened. Johann Zarco, the Frenchman, the backflip has returned. What, since Moto2 2017 or something? But finally we see a Johann Zarco backflip after winning a MotoGP race. And what a time to do it. What a place to do it at Phillip Island. It was brilliant to see. It was great to see the emotion of Zarco afterwards. You could see kind of didn't believe or couldn't believe what had happened. Singing the French national anthem on the podium started to become a reality, and I think tonight it's gonna be a bit overwhelming for Zarco, who's worked so hard at it. A lot of us have been against him. A lot of us have said that he would he ever be able to do it. We all knew the talent was there. He's on a Ducati, he's on a Pramac Ducati. His teammates going for the championship. What's wrong with him? The last couple of races he's fallen off a little bit. A bit of bad luck with bike problems and other things, but he just hasn't ever been able to put it together, and today was a masterclass ride from Johann Zarco. Am I a little bit upset with Zarco because he kind of shoved Brad Binder on the inside and put Brad out of a potential podium ride? Yes, but you know what? That's racing. That was good, hard racing, and Zarco planned his race to perfection. With a couple of laps left, I certainly thought, no, Martin's pulled that just enough, and Zarco and the rest of the guys pulled him back in, and it was a fabulous ride. It was an absolute brilliant ride from Zarco, who just racecraft to absolute perfection, and it was fantastic to see him on the top step of the podium. I was smiling went through his interview, through him on the podium. I was just smiling for the guy because it's long overdue, and I'm glad he got it. Because moving to LCR next year, it's kind of going to be very restricted, not being able to pick up a win there potentially with where Honda are at and stuff. So, if it didn't happen this season on the Pramac Ducati, you kind of were worried it wasn't never going to happen for Zarco, but it's happened now. Johann Zarco is a MotoGP Grand Prix winner, and a little bit of a payback there because, of course, the Boca and Brad Binder had Go Boca on the back of his helmet, beating the French in the World Cup quarterfinals by 1 point. And I wonder how much Zarco just looked at that Go Boca going into that Miller hairpin and just thought, you know what, payback. Shoved it on the inside, and anyway, this time round, the French took the top spot. So well done, Zarco. Pecco Bagnaia, the world champion, the championship leader, in second place. Started the race, medium rear tyre, as everyone did, hard front, other than Martin Pol Espargaro and Marc Marquez, who we'll get to later. Didn't have a great start to the race. Was kind of looking, he said in his interview afterwards that he was getting a lot of spinning. You could see it. Just thought, this is going to be a tough one, because at one stage he was pretty much the leader of a train and looked like he was holding up, Zarco, Aleix Espargaro, Marc Marquez, Jack Miller. Just thought, if they all get past him, this is 7th, 8th place for the guy. Then I cast my mind back to Phillip Island, not last year, 2019, his first season in MotoGP on the Pramac Ducati, and at the beginning of the race he was nowhere, and towards the end, last 5-6 laps, all of a sudden there's this Pecco Bagnaia on this Pramac Ducati there, and that's kind of what happened. Again, that racecraft, he didn't let the situation get to him. He didn't let the fact that Martin was out front on the soft tyre stretching away, he didn't let any of that, and I don't know how these riders deal with it, but I was on the grid watching them and saying, Pecco, you can't make any mistakes. Martin, what are you doing? And then I was feeling arm pumped during the race and watching these guys. So a lot of emotion for these riders to control. And the champ did it. The champ did it to perfection. Again, he dropped off. He dropped off. It's kind of this yo-yo effect. You thought, he's got the pace. No, he doesn't. Yes, he's got the pace. No, he doesn't. But he managed it to perfection, and a second place finish. And that move at the end at the Miller hairpin, when he went in wide and he kind of just shot in between Martin, Zarco and DJ Antonio and Binder just behind him. I was like, you know what? To pull that move off where you are in the championship with everything on the line, well done. And to come through Q1, the tough Friday that he had, to come through Q1, still qualify third on the grid. You know what? World champion performance there by Pecco Bagnaia. Once again, I don't know why. You see, this is from screaming this morning, or those loud screams where you don't want to wake up the whole neighborhood and your kids, you're like, that's exactly what's happened to me. I really was, especially when Zarco rugby tackled Brad into the Miller hairpin. I got a little bit excited there. But anyway, yeah, perfect champions performance by Pecco Bagnaia. Once again, backing up the Mandalika ride and getting the job done. In third place, Fabio Di Giannantonio. Well done. Absolutely, he really has found this belief that he's a MotoGP rider and that he can compete in MotoGP and that he wants to compete in MotoGP, because we've seen this different rider the last couple of races, and he's brought it to the forefront, riding relaxed, riding with confidence. Confidence breeds confidence. So, last weekend's 4th place has just filtered into this weekend, and he was fantastic. When he got up into 3rd place, or 2nd place, I should say, ahead of Brad, 3rd place, ahead of Bagnaia, just behind Brad, you kind of thought, okay, but, is this fade going to come? Is he going to be able to stick it there? Because we haven't seen him kind of be in that fight. He didn't fade. He was not kind of overwhelmed by the situation of being amongst the world's best. And he stuck it in there, and he picked up what was a fabulous podium ride. So well done, Fabio Di Giannantonio, doing himself the world of good to keep himself in the MotoGP paddock for next year, which at the moment, the only two options, of course, are Repsol Honda, which I think are maybe a little bit of far stretch for him. But, what other options do Honda have? If they don't get their main man, which it looks like at the moment is Miguel Oliveira, then Di Giannantonio is a good bet. Zarco with us wood now. I know he's just said he's staying at LCR, but things could change. And if they don't get Oliveira, Zarco could be the man in Repsol Honda. And there's so much to go there. But Digi could find himself in that RNF Aprilia seat, which it's not a bad ride, but the team does seem to be letting down their riders at the moment. It wasn't a good day for Aprilia and RNF, although Miguel Oliveira, a good recovery job there. We'll get onto him later. But Di Giannantonio doing everything possible to keep himself in MotoGP. The guy doesn't have a ride at the moment. He's kind of playing the waiting game. He's probably lost rides in World Superbike and Moto2, holding on for this MotoGP ride. And I think it's the right thing to do, because I think a ride is going to come up. There's no doubt about that. So well done, Di Giannantonio. Brad Binder in 4th. My heart just goes out to Brad. Fanboy cap on. I was devastated, and I did want to just headbutt Zarco for ruining Brad's race in a way, because it was that stage of the race, 2 laps to go, shoving it on the inside, pushing Brad out of that contention. You just knew that there wasn't much tyre left for Brad. to try and get himself back into contention for a podium or the win against those Ducatis. But he put up one hell of a fight, that our Brad Binder. Proved that the KTM's right there, right there. There's a couple of tweaks still to be made to make the bike a little bit easier in those situations. Brad was still pushing past the limit of the machine, I feel. But another fantastic ride by the superstar that is Brad Binder. Top 4 finish, top KTM, well done. I know it'll be hurting a little bit because it's his favourite track. He knows he had to pay certainly for a podium and probably a win. So that move would have hurt him a little bit, but he knows just as well as anyone that this is racing, and he recovered to 4th, just getting Martin to the line. So let's see what he can do in the sprint race. What's going to be interesting now is with the tyre choice. Paul Espargaro went with a soft tyre. Of course, he's running the KTM without the carbon chassis. That exercise did not work for Paul Espargaro in the main race. Is that an option for Brad and other riders in the sprint race? The software tyre, we'll get on that now, because Martin in many ways did prove that it can be an option, because he ran it for 24 laps, 23rd lap, or let's say a good 20 laps he ran it for. The sprint race is going to be 14, 15 laps, 13 laps. Soft tyre could be an option now, thanks to Jorge Martin showcasing that it could be an option, depending on what happens with the weather. Is it going to rain? Is it going to shine? Is it going to, just hurricane Phillip Island? What's it going to do? So a lot of question marks and curveballs heading into Sunday's sprint race. Jorge Martin in 5th. Took the gamble with the soft rear tyre. When I saw that, Simon Crafar, a lot of people were saying, that's a big gamble. There's going to be a drop. There's going to be a drop-off. And as soon as Marc Marquez, early on in the race, had the drop-off and Paul Espargaro, you went, well, when's this going to happen? But credit to Martin, he just kept going and pulled out that over 3 second in. You thought, okay, well, well done. They've the masterclass. Their gamble's paid off. Then it started to chip away, and I think it was 3 or 4 laps left, and it was still 2.4 seconds. And I thought, nah, surely he's going to manage this. Surely the tyre's not going to drop off that much. And then it was literally just off a cliff. As Michelin, Simon Crafar, everyone said it just went off a cliff, and you could see he was just trying to stand that bike up as much as possible to get it on the flat. There was just no rear tyre left, and of course, with no rear tyre left, that loads the front more. He was putting more pressure on the front because that's where he was having to rely on. That potentially overcooked the front. Anyway, Jorge Martin limped home very much in 5th place, salvaged some points, but it should have been so much more. In my Tuesday Mandalika, talking MotoGP, I kind of blamed Pramac a little bit and Martin for, you don't make those. You don't put him on a soft front tyre. When you're just taking the championship lead, there's a lot on the line here. Go for the good solid bet. Martin's got the pace, I think, whether he's on soft or medium tyres. They just, Martin has got this arrogance, and Pramacs have got this arrogance that they want to dominate. They don't just want to win, they want to dominate. And, these kind of decisions are going to cost them. I take my hat off to their bravery, their confidence, their arrogance in many ways of, we're going to go with the soft. Yes, we're in the championship hunt and we've got a lot on the line, but we're going to go for it. All out. At Vegas, at the gambling table, and we're just going to go all out. And in some ways, I do. I tip my hat off and I commend that. But in other ways, I look at it and go, come on, guys. Martin on a medium rear would have been competitive. He probably could have won the race. Is that gamble fully necessary when you pretty much know you got the sprint race in the bag with a soft rear tyre? Just, I don't want to say play it safe, but play the smart move. And Gino Borsoy and the Pramac team have come out afterwards and said it was their decision. I think they were covering for their rider a little bit. I think Martin and his team, as I said, they've got that confidence to go at, we're going for it. Let's go for it. And it didn't pay off today. And let's see what happens tomorrow. As I say, if the conditions are similar or it's dry, Martin with a soft rear tyre is going to be hard to beat. There's no doubt. He proved that today. Yes, I'm pretty sure many more will be on soft rear tyres, but Martin's still the man to meet. But they missed the trick today. And this is potentially, again, as I said in Tuesday night's broadcast, the difference between factory team that have been there, done that, factory rider Pecco who's been there and done that, to Martin in Pramac Ducati who pretenders in many ways to the crown and don't have that experience making those kind of decisions. But anyway, it was very entertaining. Listen, choosing that soft tyre made it very entertaining. That last lap was absolutely fantastic. Marco Bezzecchi in 6th, damage limitations there. Again, brilliant ride by the VR46 man. Considering the injury, literally 12 days ago, he was in hospital, in a hospital bed getting his collarbone fixed, and to do what he did in Mandalika on the podium in the sprint race, picking up points there, and again in the main race here, which it must have been agony. Marco Bezzecchi's body must be, pleading mercy. Alex Rins pulled out before the main race, even this weekend, still recovering from his leg injury. It is so demanding, this Phillip Island circuit. When they went on board with Brad in those stages, and it felt like you were playing a video game, how fast they were going and changing direction. Even the slow-mos, when they're changing their body weight, it's like so sped up, because there's just so much physicality, mental and physicality to the track, that Marco Bezzecchi, hats off. Your stock really is rising in MotoGP, and to pull off a 6 in the condition that you are, brilliant stuff. Jack Miller, the hometown hero, in 7th. Expected, wanted a little bit more from Jack Miller, but the process, it's still very much a process, Jack and KTM. I think we sometimes forget that. It was a big shift. Started off all well at the beginning of the year. It certainly has a dip. There's no two ways about that, but couple of good solid rides the last couple of race meetings there for Jack. Another solid one here for 7th, but certainly just missing something compared to Brad and the KTM. No doubt it's more experience with the KTM, more experience on the bike. It certainly improved the feeling with the carbon fiber chassis, but just missing something is Jack Miller on that KTM, and let's hope that he can find it. But still, good ride inside the top 7, but no doubt he and the fans would have wanted more in his backyard. Let's see what he can do in the sprint race. Probably going to go with that softer tyre, which Jack Miller has always felt better on. So let's see what he can do in the sprint race. Fingers crossed. Let's see what he can do. Aleix Espargaro, the best of the Aprilias, in 8th place. Expected more from the Aprilias. Aleix Espargaro getting bullied a little bit at the beginning there, but he was right in the mix, and then they just never had it. And 8th place is kind of the best that they could do. Alex Marquez just behind him in 9th. Good return ride from him. Must have also been suffering with those recovering ribs, and he was right up there for a little bit of the time, and a good solid ride there from Alex Marquez inside the top 10. Enea Bastianini running out the top 10. Again, it's all about the recovery process. Laps under the belt, data, it's about the recovery, and top 10 finish there from Enea Bastianini. Just getting that confidence back, getting that race fitness back, getting the data, getting everything back, and no doubt that Sepang, as we roll on, we'll start seeing more of Enea Bastianini. Maverick Vinales, Batman from Mandalika. I don't know what to say about Maverick Vinales anymore. I just don't. You can't put any kind of money or any kind of value on Maverick. I just don't know what to say about him. He should have been qualified at least first 2 rows, probably front row. He should have been in the mix, and he wasn't. Yeah, I don't know what to say about Maverick Vinales anymore, to be honest. Luca Marini, 12th. Miguel Oliveira, good recovery ride there in 13th place. Marc Marquez dropping like a stone in 15th. Fabio Quartararo just ahead of him in 14th. The 2 Japanese bikes there. I mean, what more can we say? What I will say about Marc Marquez is he'll be looking at Fabio Di Giannantonio in 3rd place there and going, that's essentially the bike and where I'm going to be next year. No disrespect to Di Giannantonio, but if Di Giannantonio can do it, imagine what Marc Marquez is going to do on that bike once he's comfortable and the environment and everything. So something to look forward to. Franco Morbidelli in 17th. Ralph Fernandez just ahead of him again. Another poor performance from Ralph Fernandez. Let's be honest. After his big comments coming in before the race meeting, Morbidelli, he's just cruising around, keeping himself healthy for Pramac next year. He'll be rubbing his hands at the Pramac ride because Zarco's just gone and won on the bike that he's going to be on next year. Paul Espargaro dropping like a stone with a software tyre. Taka Nakagami in last place in 19th. The Honda woes continue. Augusto Fernandez crashing out Sean Mir. Another crash. That's something like 47 crashes combined between him and Mark for Honda this year. That's it's madness. Mark's on 25 of those, I think. It's just crazy. Anyway, that is the main race done and dusted. Again, what's going to happen with the weather tomorrow? We're going to wake up early and find out again. You're going to have to rub the out of our eyes. And how many guys are going to go on the soft tyre that, in many ways, Jorge Martin has now proved could probably do the distance. Either way, it's going to be an exciting Sunday sprint race, not a main race day, sprint race, and let's hope for a little bit more of what we saw here on Saturday at the island.